So now we're switching from the children's end of the universal design spectrum to older adults. And I'd like to introduce you to Repu, and he's going to talk to us about co-designing user manuals for maker spaces with older adults.
Hi, everyone. Okay, you guys can now hear me clearly. My name is Repu Hu. I'm a first-year PhD student from the University of Maryland's Information School. And today, I'll be presenting the work that has been done by me, Alicia Prethan, and Amanda Lazar. And in the next few slides, I'll be talking about our motivation, the study design, preliminary findings, and our future plans. And our focus for this project, obviously, is about co-designing user manuals for makerspaces with older adults. And our research was conducted in an independent living community in the DC area, where people over there, they have this needs to use and learn the machines in the makerspace. And those machines include 3D printer, credit card machine, jewelry maker, button maker, and sewing machine. So some background about this research is that the main focus in HCI design is about, designing useful and accessible technologies for older adults. However, there is little emphasis on how to design technologies that people, especially older adults, learn or adapt to the updates in these technologies. Therefore, as HCI researchers, we felt very motivated to help the community, the residents, to develop these menus and understand how they learn these machines. And for our study design, we have a two-phase study. The first phase is about observations and interviews. Through this, we're trying to understand their current use of those machines. And is there any benefits or any challenges or any needs they want to have through learning these machines? And for phase two, we conducted an iterative co-design process that involves 3 stages. The first stage is prototyping. So we prototyped some user manuals based on the information we gathered from phase 1. And then we evaluate those prototypes through a large meeting or small class and receive some feedback to refining those designs. And this is a cyclic process, which means we can go back and go further. It is an ongoing research project, and we love to share some preliminary findings. The first one is about the preferences for the amount of information vary with machine properties. So what's that mean? So on your left side, we have a 3D printer and a stack of menus. And on your right side, there is a button maker and one piece of menu. So what's the difference? How do our participants perceive this? So for 3D printer, our participants think it's a machine with multiple operating stages. So by that, they want more and detailed information show up on the menus. And on the right side, we have a button maker, and they see that as an easy to operate machine, which requires less information and more straightforward knowledge on the menu. That's why they only require one piece of menu. And the second preliminary finding we want to share is about the way they want to learn something new. When our participants learn these machines, especially involve both software and hardware, they prefer a linear learning process, which means they wanted to start with a very easy, simple task, and they want to follow a menu with a slowly progressing difficulty so that they can learn this knowledge and build upon their prior knowledge. So on your left, we have a menu 1 we designed for our credit card machine, and the task is to design a greeting card. And on your right side, we have the menu 2 for the credit card machine. The task is to making a flower on your greeting card. The difference is, if you want to go to section 2, you have to learn the basics on the section 1. And that requires our participants really know how to do section 1. And that's a process we're trying to get from this study. And for our future steps, we wish to answer 3 questions based on our future data analysis. The first one is, what kind of resources actually support older adults in learning these new technologies? Tutorials, references, operation procedures, or others? How do you classify or define this? And second, what aspects of user manuals are important to older adults? And lastly, should user-centered design processes or outputs include user menus to support groups who are not finding technologies intuitive to use? And by that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. And please come to our poster session if you have more questions or discussions. Thank you.
So thanks, everybody, for rolling through all of these lightning talks. Just to give you a little time or a little preview of what's going to be happening. Next, we have two more talks, really interesting ones, more sort of theoretical talks, and then we'll have a 20-minute break. So look forward to that. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Pooja Upadhyay. Did I pronounce it right? Sorry, Pooja. And she's going to be sharing using theoretical approaches to explain external sources of older adults' tensions with ICT's use.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? My name is Pooja. I'm a first-year PhD student at the iSchool, working with Dr. Amanda Lazar. And today I'm presenting our work in which we identify older adults' tensions with information and communication technologies in routine everyday use. So over the past 20 years, research has sort of consistently reported that older adults face anxiety and low self-efficacy in using technologies in the everyday. But over this time, how technologies look, feel, and function has changed dramatically. So has the amount and range of everyday information that one deals with through technologies. Sorry about that. Reporting low proficiency as a cause in low proficiency as causal in the low adoption of technologies is a deficit view on the user and doesn't lead to meaningful change in improving access through technologies. So in order to understand the larger sort of ecosystem that may affect technology use, we conduct ethnographic observations of everyday information sources which may or may not be on technology in a community of residential community of older adults. And then we conduct about 40 one-on-one tech support sessions where people come in with their own devices and their own concerns that they face in using devices in the everyday. Let's consider this one case of Zoom use. Since Zoom was sort of a popular use case in accessing services such as webinars or fitness classes or church sermons. Now, Jenny here typically uses her iPhone to connect to Zoom calls by clicking on a Zoom link. Prior to Jenny using her iPhone to connect to Zoom calls, her family has configured Zoom on her iPhone and community members have shared information about the Zoom meeting with her. Now, when she clicks on the Zoom link, the whole browser screen is sort of replaced with the Zoom meeting screen, but this is really enabled by many interactions in the background that are really invisible to Jenny. Now, when Jenny tries to do the same learn procedure on her iPad, this doesn't work. Now, Jenny wonders, why is this not working? Is Zoom on my device and it's not working? Or is Zoom something that runs through the browser? Then how do we get there? And if my device doesn't have Zoom and it's a separate tool of its own, how do we get to Zoom? So in this study, we explore what outside of the user, what is part of a larger sort of socio-technical ecosystem that might shape use. There might be some social components and many material components that might be involved in how user uses technology in the everyday and learns about technology. Through some early findings, we unpack what familiarity or proficiency might entail with using technology. Operating everyday technology needs familiarity with a much larger ecosystem than the one single tool such as Zoom. And this sort of arises from a more long-term exposure to technologies and also a range of different types of technologies. Without this familiarity, which is not really in the user's hands, and in our case, we saw in the example of Jenny, the design of information flows on technology are quite invisible. We don't get to really know what's happening, what kind of components are interacting with each other. And when Jenny was operating routinely in a pre-configured environment, the learning facilitated by such interactions was not really conducive or sustainable for long-term use. And additionally, in this case, familiarity was masked by another form of access, that is the support that was provided by family members. And so the social environment ended up coping. And this leads us to ask, how is learning restricted in routine use? And what is the extent of technical expertise one requires for using technologies in the everyday? So in this ongoing research, we find where in the intersection of tools, technologies, accounts, and a larger ecosystem of use do breakdowns occur, and how people might learn about using technologies. Thank you for listening to us, and please visit our poster for more details.
Thanks. So at the very beginning of when Joelle opened the symposium this morning, you heard a little bit about Alicia Pradhan, who had won this year's award for the Maryland Way. Our last presentation for this segment before we go to the break is Alicia, and because she couldn't be with us today, Joelle's going to queue up a video for us. And her video is exploring a post-humanist perspective on HCI research in aging.
Today, I'm going to provide a brief overview of our collaborative research, which provides a case of adopting post-humanist perspectives in the context of technology and aging. Aging research in HCI and CSCW has largely adopted human-centered approaches such as user-centered and participatory design, with the goal of understanding what older adults want with respect to technology and how we can design more usable and accessible technologies for them. But recently, researchers in critical gerontology have begun to argue that a sole focus on the human subject alone cannot capture the lived experiences and the social relations that involve both the human and the non-human world. And as such, these researchers are arguing that older adults' experiences are constituted within diverse more than human world, which includes technologies, digital cultures, norms, values, stereotypes, etc. For example, consider surveillance and monitoring technologies that include IoT, sensors, fault detection, etc. These technologies don't exist in isolation, but are actually entangled with older adults' bodies, their routines, their families, and even their care providers. With existing and emerging technologies, the aging body kind of becomes enmeshed in this more than human world. In this work, we present a case of adopting post-humanist perspectives in the context of HCI research on aging to understand the role of the non-human world and the more than human aspects of aging. We scoped our study to emerging voice-based technologies, where we conducted interviews with 20 older adults focused on their use of voice assistants like Alexa or Google Assistant on smart speaker. Our analysis draws upon the theoretical orientation of two post-humanist entanglement theories, actor network theory and post-phenomenology. Our analysis reveals how both human and non-human actors shape older adults' preferences for and their use of voice assistants. Non-human actors included materials like wall, decor of house, and technology manuals. For example, paper manuals or technology manuals as material actors, which are currently missing for voice-based technologies, contributed to frustration around using voice assistants. Norms emerged as another non-human actor that shaped individuals' preferences around voice assistants. For example, for one participant, her dominant norm of saying "hey" as youthful or impolite shaped her preference of not wanting to use Google Assistant, which has the wake-up word of "hey Google." Now, given that non-human actors play a significant role in shaping our reality associated with technology use, in this work, we reframe responsibility and accountability of undesired realities associated with technology use to non-human actors such as material actors. We argue that by reframing this responsibility to non-human actors, we can in turn distance from the deficit model that gets associated with aging. Second, by doing a post-phenomenological analysis of our data, we found that the voice assistant plays an active role in mediating relations between older adults and their larger social world, which includes not just humans, but also their pets. And these mediations, in turn, are shaping new practices around what it means to give company or to care. Some examples include P5 using an Alexa skill to give company to her cat when away from home. Here, she desired Alexa to play a mediating role by extending her presence through a skill to provide company to her cat when through Alexa. In another instance, Alexa extended the caregiving capabilities of a human. Examples include allowing P1 to nag for and care for her husband remotely through Alexa. In this example, Alexa as a technology is extending P1's caregiving capabilities and opening up possibilities for new material practices for caring. As another example, P18 described how Alexa extended the capabilities of his service animal, where P18's service dog would follow Alexa's command to get his medicine. Now, given that older adults, their technologies, and their social worlds are entangled, through these findings, we suggest approaching designing technology for aging by thinking in terms of human-technology world relationships. I want to conclude with the thought that there is value in adopting entanglement perspectives and context of aging, particularly in terms of thinking about relations that older adults develop with and through technologies, and the implications of assigning responsibility to non-human actors. With this, I'm happy to take any questions or email us to know more about our work.